I drew this when I was like 12. This T-shirt, and
Get out.
I obviously didn't know about anatomy and skeletal system. But it's probably reversed. But yeah, I just thought it'd be fun to make a shirt of a kid drawing.
That's fantastic. Mr. Todd, how are you?
Good, good. How are you guys?
You know, living the dream.
Yeah, that's good. How is it?
It's pretty crazy. It's been a good show. Like, we've sold a lot of stuff. It's kind of exciting. There's people watching right now.
Wow,
who,
that's
apparently, I think most of them are just at work, and it's just playing in the background, and they don't really care what we say. But
yeah,
maybe there's a few that care. I don't know.
yeah.
So for those of you who are tuning in now, there's Mark Todd's figure. Oh,
Wow,
someone said that they care a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
I'll read you the back here.
Good.
It says, super cool with shiny plastic white armor and black fabric in the joints. They seem a bit sad. I like the helmets, permanent pouty face guys with side tubes. Not much else to say. These guys are rad. Look great shuffling through Death Star corridors in formation. Enjoy. And then I think our favorite part here is right in here where it just says sad.
Yeah, I always put something.
Sad.
Yeah.
And so Mark sculpted this out of, I don't know, thumbtacks and pencils and sculpted stuff, and then he gives us the original, which I send off to have cast, and then I send him the cast, and he hand paints each one.
That one was simple. Yeah.
And then there you have it. So
yeah, I love making those. So are the originals falling apart?
They're still, well, we store them in just messing with my volume here. We actually put them on a card, so they're trying to stay together. I don't know. We really won't know for like 10 years or something.
The first one I did was the Chewbacca. I'm not sure why I picked him. I wasn't at the first one. Yeah,
Chewbacca was the first one.
I tried to sculpt that. I spent days on trying to sculpt this. I'm the worst. Like, it was just like I spent all this money on this correct sculpt stuff and bought the tools and was carving and I would like carve it away until it was down to nothing, and then I'd put all the clay back and then try again, and it wasn't working. It came out good in the end because it was just a big lump, and he's such an easy shape. But after that one, I started using just like I didn't really know what I could use, and then I just turned in one with erasers and thumbtacks and dowels, and it looks it's more my thing. So I like it.
I don't know, I'm kind of partial to that very first Chewbacca. Like it, I mean,
it came out good.
For people who don't know, it was really that first year. So if this is 2019, 18, so I think it was 2017, right? Is this the fifth figure?
God,
or the fourth figure. So 2016, because we did Chewbacca, Vader, Luke, R2, Luke, and then this. So maybe 2016. So 2016 was the year where, I don't know. I mean, honestly, calling up Mark Todd and saying, "Hey, do you want to make a Star Wars action figure, to sell at San Diego Comic-Con?" does not. I don't think most people would say like, "Hey, that's a good choice." Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like,
wow, what do you say?
What I'm saying, no, I'm not trying to be insulting. I'm just saying like that is a weird thing to put out at San Diego Comic-Con. Like, there's a lot of people walking around looking for very literal interpretations of stuff, and presenting your work to that crowd was, risked some, not like didn't risk bodily harm, but like, I mean, and obviously, you are you, and you live in your skin. That there's obviously, every artist experiences this. There's some people just don't get your work, But I would say
Oh yeah.
your figure more than anything else I've ever released just
Mm.
changed the complete landscape of how we did business and who we did business with from that point going forward.
Oh wow, really?
It just
Really?
I mean the people who like approached us who wanted to make figures, the people who saw what we did as presenting art and not just
Yeah.
kind of like, because this is art, but
It's not
not but
slick.
this is
Yeah.
this is art. However, there's a lot of people walking around a show that don't see it as art. It's just, oh, these guys are customizers. And your work just seemed to, because you have a crazy following, right? There's a lot of
Well,
really there's a
I
lot
get.
of really talented artists out there that just think that you are the shit. Like they just
God. That's my wife. Yeah.
you but you
Yeah.
know it, right? That's your wife, of course. But I'm just
I'm.
saying, like,
Yeah.
there's
It's.
people who, who sell work for a lot of money, you know,
Mhm.
paintings for tens of thousands of dollars, who, will talk to me about Mark Todd, and like, as you are like,
Oh
l- you
gosh.
know,
Like.
sorry, I'm not trying to like just like to, toot your horn here, but it's true, and I've seen it.
I guess we're in.
And
Yeah. I mean, it's different. Well, I guess maybe it expanded the audience to a degree because
mhm.
we had our own. Well, we shared a booth at Comic-Con for a long time with some other comic artists and stuff, and we've always just approached it as like, I'm not gonna like try and do something that I'm supposed to fit in or do, and because there is honestly a lot of stuff at Comic Con, it's not my thing. But then there's some stuff that I do like. So I'm just like, I'm
Yeah,
gonna do my
as
own
I get
thing and find my
older,
own crowd. Yeah,
as I get older, less
yeah,
and less of what's in that room starts to appeal to me, till the
yeah,
point of like, yeah,
yeah. And
it's
I
really.
remember still. I remember this one guy seeing my work, and he had a booth like a couple over from me or something, and he was doing crap stuff, or I don't know, like nothing that I was interested in. He did not get what I was doing. He was like, he's like, you're just what? Like, oh, And then the funniest story is early on, because I've always been pretty happy and confident with my work, and I did this little book called Badasses,
Hmm.
and had all these characters in it. And there's just like
Janky is
drawings.
giving
Yeah.
the gorilla fist in the air
Oh,
because
good.
it's good.
And I went, and Mark Singer from the Beastmaster was
Yeah.
signing autographs, and I waited in line. There wasn't a long line, but I waited in line to give him a copy of my badass little zine, little thing, and he was in it. And so the Beastmaster, and he looked at it, and he looked down, and I gave him $20 for his autograph, and he just looked up and said, you'll get there one day. You keep going.
Oh my goodness. Oh.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
wow.
And
And
then
how
and then he's
did
like, well, and
you
then we
react
picked.
to that?
Yeah, I thought it was funny, and he just thought I was just, yeah, struggling. I don't know. I mean, artist that was just like
he didn't
couldn't draw,
he didn't
and
get
it was
he
pretty.
didn't get the style. Well, that's an
No,
interesting segue into like,
yeah,
because you know um your art is, I think it's hard. I think it would be hard for just about anyone to accomplish. Yet it
wow,
is,
gosh,
but it is,
it's
but
a
it looks like, um I don't know, how do you say it? It looks like something that, like, a 12-year-old couldn't do art like that, right? But
well,
it
yeah,
looks in my
yeah,
imagination
yeah,
how I would do art if I was, do you know what I mean? I
yeah,
think
yeah, yeah,
that's how, what it sort of captures it. It captures like this fantasy, like if I was an amazing artist when when I was
yeah,
younger, but
yeah,
no one could. So if you
yeah,
show it to someone who doesn't understand,
yeah,
and because
yeah.
you have another style of work, and that's the style that I first was exposed to, was when you did that show at Billy Shire Fine Arts over on
Yeah.
in Culver City, and that's when you did all of those comic book covers.
Yeah, I did.
Um,
They're
and,
more
and that
they're more
like
obsessive.
that just I when I saw those, and then the first time I met you, like it just kind of filed away in the back of my mind. I didn't like send you an email immediately. I think I met you at a zine fest, and I was like, "Hey, I saw
Yeah,
your work." We talked about people we'd known in common, and I was like, so I saw
yeah,
those covers. Like, can you do a Star Wars covers? And
yeah. I
then
remember that.
you were like, you were open to it when you did Star Wars, and now in my house I have this triptych of these 6 foot tall paintings. I think you said it was the largest paintings that you'd ever done, like at the time. I don't know if you've done
Yeah,
larger since, but those are, if you walk into our house, that is kind of like into our living room. That is the centerpiece of of our living room.
yeah,
Those 3
yeah,
pieces, and they go
yeah.
from like floor to ceiling. Basically, they're kind of crazy.
They they were a
So
lot of fun. Yeah, a lot of fun to do. Yeah, I remember meeting you. It was at the Mocha. It was at the
at the
the
Geffen,
printed matter. Yeah, at the Geffen.
yeah,
Yeah,
that show has also been canceled until like
yeah.
2022.
I know.
Man, do
Yeah,
I love that show. That and the
that
Zine
was a good.
Fest are
It's
2
a good
things I
show.
look forward to every year.
I know. The heck's
Um,
going on?
just
But I wanted to say about what you were talking about with the, I mean, all artists, I try and hide the bad drawings I do, but when I make good work that I'm happy with and I,
mhm.
whatever, post it or show it off. And I'm always trying to keep that innocence, I guess you would call it, about the work. And I mean, I went to art
Innocence.
school.
That's a great
Yeah,
word. Innocence.
I went to
Okay.
art, I went to art school and was trained, and then, and it wasn't a bad thing, but I kind of had to learn to unlearn some things and have confidence. And luckily at art
Mhm.
school, they saw that, and it was really encouraging, at least most of the teachers, in that style. And so I kind of hit the ground running with that. But even in the writing that you read on the back of the
Mhm.
cards, I have to kind of go into a weird zone of being a kid. Like I never rewrite those, or I never like, oh, let's type this out and then rearrange. Oh, that doesn't
Mhm.
sound good. It's just off the cuff, and I give myself literally like 3 minutes,
Right.
like write something, not like
Mhm.
stream of consciousness. Don't, if it sounds bad, then, like do your best, but it's like, it's the first draft. And I think if I had rewritten and try and change it, it would just be kind of fake. So I
Sure.
try and acting like a kid. When you're a kid, you get excited about, like when I went to see Star Wars, and that was another thing. I was like, should I do all this Star Wars stuff? Of course I love the movies, but I'm no expert. Like some people know everything, and they'll come up to me and go,
Uh-huh.
don't you know about this and that? And then I'm like, shit, they're gonna know that I don't really know. But then I thought, you know what? That's like, I'm gonna be like, it's more of like a genuine, like, oh, I didn't know anything about that Clone Wars stuff, and oh, I didn't know that, and it's like, and I don't really care, but I just like, it's from my it just stopped in like where, I just kind of have maybe the first 3 movies, and that's what I was into, and then that was it, and I don't really care about anything else. And I
Interesting.
guess that for a minute I was like, oh no, that's going to offend people. But I think being honest is better, and not trying to pretend like you know
Right.
every little thing about something.
So it's interesting what you
Yeah,
talk about, like the innocence of it, because I think what the back conveys, just your handwritten stuff on the back, is
yeah,
like if someone comes up and picks up the toy, someone who doesn't know anything, and they're like, what is this? I don't get it, and I just tell them to read the back. And then
yeah,
after they read the back, you see the light bulb go off, and then you see the money come out of the wallet, and then like it's part of one of my favorite parts of this whole process is when you
yeah,
have a newbie who just totally wanders up to the table, doesn't know anything, and you see something click, and it's
yeah,
just the light bulb goes out like ding, and they're like,
yeah,
oh, this is amazing, I have to have it. And then that transition, that like and then they
yeah,
hand you the money, and it's like, oh
yeah.
yes, it's like
That's
you've
good.
it's like
That's
you've
good.
transcended, like you've had this
Yeah,
I don't know, this
it,
kind of
it's
shared
fun.
experience, like very
Yeah,
cool. So
I
what are we going to do?
yeah.
Like this is like the 5th figure. And I want to
Yeah.
do like all the original 12 figures, but one figure a year is going to get us to like,
Yes.
I don't know, it's going to be like another 7 years before we finish. Like,
Well,
I don't know.
maybe they have ideas. Maybe people have ideas.
Mm.
Were we gonna do like a? Well, you know, again, you probably know best, but do a collection of like,
Oh, we
you
could do
know,
like the old like two, three, the 3-packs. Yeah.
yeah,
I guess at this point, it's getting hard for new people to jump in. Like we have people who collect your
yeah,
stuff
yeah,
who just always come back. But there's a lot of
yes,
people who bought the first Chewbacca or Vader because they're
yes,
Chewbacca and Vader collectors. And then there's
yes,
these people who have like, R2, Luke, and
yeah.
Stormtrooper, and they're like, if you ever see a Darth Vader, I need a Darth Vader, and they send me
I
emails
know.
freaking out.
I
So
feel bad.
maybe it's time to do another edition. Um, we could do either another sculpt or use the same sculpt and change the card, or do something to make a change, because those people are just itching for
Well, yeah, sure. We could put them
yeah.
all in one big pack or something. I don't
That's
know.
true.
Yeah,
What, Ian's shaking his head.
yeah.
He's like, no.
Ian, that would be less billiard balls to put on each one. You use bowling balls. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so for those of you who are watching who don't know, when projects that we generate in house, where Ian is gluing the blisters, he puts the glue on, he paints the glue on, he puts it on the card, and then he takes a bottle cap to balance, and then he's got a pool cue, a pool ball rather, that sits on there, and that's just enough weight to while the glue cures. And so
Yeah, yeah.
Mark's joke here is that he's going to use a
I,
bowling ball, and
I've seen those.
Ian's
Yeah,
having
that's a
a conniption over here.
inside joke. Yes.
Yeah.
What if would it be? I mean, I'm always into like, I don't know. I'd love to make some like, okay, I always think about when I was a kid, I had the Darth Vader case, of course, a lot of people that opened up and
Mhm.
held whatever 20 figures or something. Like,
Yeah.
God, what if it was like a whole case with all the best guys? That would be like an insane amount
Ian is
of
nodding his
craziness.
head because he knows that means he doesn't have to glue blisters. He's like,
Yeah,
yes. Yeah.
that would be, I mean, a mega pack, but it's expensive. You know, it would be certain
Hey,
people would want that, and I would love to make them,
art
and
is art.
yeah, that would be so fun. But
I think it's funny how things come full circle. So like we had we always do 3 editions of each. We release one at Comic-Con, and then you have one as an
right,
exclusive, and then we release the third one by DKECON. The San Diego Comic-Con is always the most literal. It generally sells out right away.
yeah,
And then the one that you did the first year for us
yeah.
with Chewbacca, that's when you put a clown nose and tube socks on Chewbacca.
I know. And you said
I said,
that's risky. Yeah,
well,
yeah,
we did it, and so the last, their editions of 30. So the last, I'd say 6 or 8 of them sat around for a little while, and then all of a sudden it just disappeared. Now people talk about the
yeah.
clown nose and tube socks all the time. Like, oh, that's the
Oh,
guy who
really?
did the Chewbacca with the tube socks and the clown nose. So
Oh,
I don't
God.
know.
Yeah.
It's funny. See, it's funny when you're ahead of your time, right? When you're ahead of the curve, and you're
Yeah.
dealing with people who like don't understand, and then one day they understand and they look back. It's like when it's always like a bittersweet like triumph when you're
Yeah.
ridiculed. This is anything in life, not talking about you, but like someone
Yeah. Yeah.
ridicules you
Yeah.
for something, and then they come back and say, uh,
Yeah.
it's kind of like I had a girlfriend once who came back to me, and she said, I wasn't really nice to you like back then, and I was like, yeah, duh. It's like
Yeah.
you were, I'm not sure you're still a nice person, but you understand what I'm saying. It's like, and then you're like,
Yeah.
you're happy that they've come to that conclusion and that they're in a better place, but it's also like, screw you for
Doesn't.
being a jerk all that time. It's like,
Yeah. 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 Sure. Yeah. I
yeah,
think what's nice about having the 3 versions is you can take a chance.
right.
Do something. You can have a weird one, Yeah. Do you keep it hidden what the other ones are? I mean, do people know what these new 3 are?
Hey, Janky, there's right there are 2 stacks of cards to your left, left. Oh, right, your other left. That's correct. Right. Yeah, right there. Right. Keep going. Keep going. There's 2 stacks right there. You can grab one of each card,
Wow.
and then there's a box underneath. I mean, there's not that many people watching. We're not going to blow our wad here.
There's 3 people. Yeah.
There's what?
I would say there's 3 people. No.
There's 3 people. We've had consistently like 30 plus, and kind of like as high as, you know, almost 70 at some point. So maybe down there.
Oh, there it is.
I can just take the card.
Well, as it's I'm in Joshua Tree right now.
How's the weather out there?
You want to see? Here's a view.
Don't worry about it. Yeah.
That's the
look
back.
at that.
That's the backyard. Yeah.
Wow, living the dream. And this is your place out there?
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy. It's not too hot right now. Yeah.
And then can you also tell people, just while you're at it, like the other things you do? You guys opened up a gallery out in Joshua Tree?
Yeah, yeah. We've been shuttered since March because of COVID, but we opened a year ago in May. It's called Hey There Projects, and me and my partner Aaron Smith. It kind of, as I say, it kind of fell in our laps, but I've been always talking about. I've always been the person. I've always loved to like sell stuff, so it's perfect for me. And we had an opportunity to have, we were out here in Joshua Tree a lot, and then this building came available with some friends, and I happened to say I'd love to open a gallery, and he's like, we just signed a lease, come look at this place. And literally the next week we're like, okay, let's do it. And like, it was insane because we took a chance, but it was a great it wasn't that risky, it was some money, but it wasn't crazy, so we did it, and it was.
And how long has it been? It's been a year, 2 years?
It'll be a year. Yeah, it's just over a year.
Over a year.
We opened in May. Year and 2 months.
If you've survived a year, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
And so what is it like being an artist that shows in other galleries and being a gallery owner?
I've always worn a lot of hats. I mean, I also teach. Like I said, I do my own work, and I do illustration. I do, and then this gallery thing kind of takes up a lot of my time lately, but I love it. I think I kind of use it as a way to procrastinate doing actually my own work, which is something I need to figure out. I love it. I mean, it's just like, I love bringing people together and saying, do you know this guy's work? Look, oh, this person, oh, I sold that. Like, it's just like, I just love that. I've done it my whole life. As a kid, I used to sell candy outside my bedroom window to the neighborhood kids, which is kind of creepy. I would like I'd find out where the local ice cream man bought all his wholesale stuff, and I'd spend $300 on Snickers bars, and then double the price, and sell them out our window in our bedroom, and then I would sell it at school. I didn't need a job. Yeah. It was weird, but it
sounds like my childhood as well.
It's like what you do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're selling resin can.
But when I was a kid, when I was in 5th grade, there was a place on Melrose called Heaven. It was a candy store, and I would go buy pixie sticks for a nickel and sell them for a dime. And so I don't know,
just like that.
I was 10 years old, and I'd go spend $5, and then the next day I had $10, and I was like stoked. But I realized that the doubling power of the 5-cent to the 10-cent piece worked, but doubling, like, I didn't go anywhere wholesale like you did, which that was pretty enterprising. I was stuck just going to this place down the street. But I noticed that if I bought a Snickers bar for 50 cents, that I couldn't sell it for $1. That was just like,
no.
People are like, what are you talking about? But pixie stick for a dime, 10 for $1, no problem.
Yeah.
All right. So those of you who are watching here, This is going to be Mark's exclusive. It's got the little shadow trooper here. Oh, this bright yellow
It's a weird
card.
one.
And then for DKECON,
This one will be insane.
we have a
Don't tell him.
we have the Gay Empire collaboration with the Suck Lord. And look, he put little sparkles in there. It's pretty fantastic.
Yeah.
And then
Did
one
you say
says
the breastplate is thumbtacks? Yeah.
Oh, the breastplate is thumbtacks. That's right.
Yeah.
It's hilarious.
Yeah.
And then here's the card back with the pink special Suck Lord edition. And then on all of them, you hand wrote Gay Empire, but this is one of the proofs where you wrote Gay Figure by accident.
Yeah, that's right. We were talking about figures.
Yeah, most likely I was just like talking to you while you were trying to work.
Yeah, no, I mess up all the time. That one's the best one then, the messed up.
Yeah.
Also,
So what else is going on? So you teach at Art Center. Did you also go to Art Center, or did you go to a different art school?
I went to Art Center. I went to Art Center because that's where I met Esther, my wife. It's funny, again, I think it came from the business side of things. I wanted to go to art school. I wanted to be an artist, but I was like, shit, I don't want to be a struggling, starving artist. And so when I toured a couple schools, and one of them was, I'd say one of them was Otis. And I remember what turned me off was during the tour, they thought it would be cool to say, but the tour guide said, this place is awesome. We blast music and you can just paint your heart out, paint whatever you want. And I thought, I do not want to do that. I could do that in my bedroom at my parents' house. And I was like, and then I went to Art Center, or I took a tour, and they were just like the opposite. They were like, I don't think you can get in. You're too young, and this is a really tough school, and it's it's not fun, basically. So I was like, I want to go there. I want to be like, I want to have the business kind of type of school / art.
Right.
If I went back now for like masters, I wouldn't want that. I would go to the more experimental, fun school. But at the time, it was like, I think the teachers had just they wore suits to class. It was really, it was like that. Like, okay, it's all about. And I remember like having to shrink wrap artwork like over and over. Like, it's not right. It's like, oh my God, like. It was kind of weird that I came out with the style I have, but it was perfect because it was like really hard the first year, and then it was really encouraging the rest. And they just wanted you to have a voice.
But you said the teachers that you had there were very encouraging with your style. Like no one tried to like get in your way or change you or have you express yourself differently.
At the beginning, not so much. When it was like fundamentals of drawing and painting, and surprise, I was not the best at oil painting. I would just kind of make a lot of mud, and I would try my best, and then I thought, oh no, I can't paint like Michelangelo. What's wrong with me? And then you get over that, pretty quickly, and you find the right teachers that are doing more interesting things, and you realize, it's not just about this skill building style of figures.
For some people it is. For some people that's
totally.
That's what they need, right?
So what
kind of teacher are you? What classes are you teaching, and then how has your style and how you were treated affect what kind of teacher you are?
I've been teaching there now at Art Center a long time, I think 15 years. It's evolved and changed and always grows, hopefully. But I teach mainly upper seniors, people getting closer to graduation, which is pretty awesome because sometimes you just they have their own vision and they're doing their own thing, and you just really encourage that and give your advice. But it's teaching has changed a lot lately, where people don't want to just hear like you do this, that, and that. Wow, that what you did is horrible. You kind of want to like listen to their ideas and talk to them, and which way they're paying for this, like where do they want to do, and then you try and bring them there, whether it's whether it's not even like whether it's not your style or not your thing, that doesn't matter as much. It's just like getting them to where they want to go, and then exposing them to art history and other artists, and oh, have you seen this person, that person, and I'm just being open-minded.
Does the class you teach or the classes you teach have a certain name, or are they just
I've
is it
I've always taught a class called Illustration for Publishing. So basically it's a very loose, it's kind of, I've taught it so long that I've been able to kind of morph it a bit. I mean, I think 10 years ago or more, it was more like straightforward, like do a book cover and then, oh, that looks good, fix the type. And but I've always thrown in some experimental assignments and things, and that's definitely continued and grown. And so it's a very loose, basically I always say it's like it's creating art that is probably for print, and probably has words or text that goes with it or on it. So it's like,
right.
How do you tell a story? Like, so it could be kids book, it could be comics, it could be but it could also be fine art, it could be lots of things. And my assignments are, they have a form, a base, but then they can kind of pretty easily adapt and change what they want to do for it.
But you've actually done
yeah,
done a lot of that yourself, right? You used to do a lot for, I mean, when magazines were a thing, right? You did a lot for Entertainment Weekly, and so what are the kids' reactions to like taking your class, like when they see your work? Are they like
it's funny because I used to show my work a lot more, and now I show it a bit, but it's like I kind of don't just say, oh, only because, I mean, I guess it's a double-edged thing. It's like I'd like to show them what I do, and excited about it, and basically show who I am as a person, and maybe there's a connection there. But other times I could show my work and they're not connecting to it, and then I gotta pull them back,
reel them back in.
Reel them in and say, hey, you don't have to do. And sometimes students are like, oh, he does this kind of naive stuff, I better do that. And it's like, no, you don't have to. And don't, do that. That's not what I'm asking for. So, but inevitably I'll show some things or bring in some stuff, but I just try and bring in a lot of things. And it's hard to, of course I'm bringing in work I usually like, but again, teaching for so long is a lot more these days of asking the students, like, and I mean, we never used to do this, but now it's like, okay, today you're doing the presentation, pick 5 artists and tell us about it. And like, they have to go up and talk about the artists they picked and why. And it's great because it's like, they could be future teachers. It gets them to stand in front of people. It gets them to present their work, to talk about work. We get to ask questions, and then instead of just me blabbering about like, look at this artist, I mean, I do enough of that, but it's equal, I think, trying to get them to tell me. I've learned so much from students, like people I don't, didn't know about, or follow their careers after they graduate. There's a lot of former students who were like just doing amazing things, and it's pretty interesting. It's pretty fun. Keeps you on your toes, because you're like, I mean, there's so many students that are like doing way more than I've ever done. Which is
am I correct? Art Center only like accepts like 20 kids a year?
No, I don't know the numbers, but I wouldn't know exactly. But
is that another school that passed? Is there another?
I mean,
is
maybe
that CalArts or?
Well, the master's program, perhaps. Esther went through. My wife went through that, and there was maybe 12 accepted or something for that application period. But Art Center, the illustration department, is the largest department in the whole school. I'm not sure exactly how many we have, but yeah, it's interesting.
So what is it about illustration? Like, back in the day, before I
Mhm.
was born, illustration and fine art were considered two different things. People looked at
Yeah,
Norman Rockwell and considered him an
sure.
illustrator, and art
Yeah, yeah.
collectors didn't take his work seriously. I mean, smart ones did, because they'd buy a painting
Right.
for 10 or 20 grand that's like $1 million today.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
you
I
know,
I went yeah, that it's there's always been that kind of divide
but
and it's changing, but it's still a little bit there. I mean, it's
but
I
why
would
why
mm,
why is it that you can look at a piece of art and you kind of know the era that it's from? Is the way they teach art, is it different when they teach illustration? Because like the
mm,
my favorite era of illustration, is that that 40s, 50s, 60s, like pulp era,
oh,
into the
yeah,
70s. Like I
yeah,
love the men's magazine art, and
yes, yeah, sure.
I like my sci-fi fantasy painters too, but really it's that kind of pulp art is really. And Illustration magazine is one of my favorite magazines, and the publisher just keeps putting out these volumes and all of these artists who've never had books before. It's like
Oh,
Norm Saunders and H.J. Ward, and just
yeah.
the Mead Schaefer book just came out. Like, it's just all of these books, and they're just kind of like, these are all like I don't know, they all come from the different schools. These are all second and
Yeah.
third generations from like the Schoonovers and the Piles and the
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know the
Yeah.
Rockwell, and who's the other one, Lane Decker, all those
Yeah.
guys. But why
Yeah.
is it is it that art is taught differently from era to era, that someone doesn't come out of art school painting like Norman Rockwell anymore? Like, is it is it that style in the 50s that is just
It's I
I,
mean, it's
I
trends and styles come and go and they come back and for a long time at Art Center and I think in a lot of places the kind of mid-century modern thing is very uh, pleasing to the eye and you'd see
Mhm.
students graduate and that's who would get the work. So then other people are like, oh, I'm going to do that, or I want it's as simple as like I would
I
want
see.
work, or I see that in the New York Times and I want that. And I think people are influenced by each other and a lot of students don't look far back enough.
Mhm.
Um, but they also don't look forward. Some of them don't look like, you'll say we'll say, name 5 artists and they start to name, we're like, that are alive. It's like who, or name 5 illustrators working right now.
Mhm.
Um, but again, education's evolving and it's not just this kind of like, I know best, I'm the teacher, I'm going to teach you to look at these artists. Oh, what you're looking at's bad. Like, I mean, we've all come from
Mhm.
different perspectives and we have to keep that in mind to know that like there's just, we all have our bias and tastes and style that we like, but to try and keep open and then stuff. I mean, I try and like, I'm not saying I try and like everything, but I like minimal art. I like super abstract art, but then I like, um, all types of, what you call, fine art. And but then
Mhm.
I like the crazy kind of over obsessed illustrations. I don't know.
Mhm.
There's different, it depends on what it's for, where it's at, um, how
Mhm.
I feel. And then I go through, things that I have our house is full of art and there's some things that I'm like kind of outgrown but it's still
Yeah.
hanging. But I better plug my phone in, but I guess I got a few more minutes. But anyways, it's like
Yeah.
it's crazy. I don't know. I mean, I have to say I don't know. I just do my best, and I think people, yeah, like when I went to Art Center, I graduated in '93, and I don't know if
Mhm.
you remember, but in the '90s it was grungy, dark, Matt Mahern kind of like. I mean, what they call American illustration was huge. It was like the whole world would look at artists from New York and California, and there was Ray Gun magazine. It was super edgy and cool, and like, like the Nirvana, like it was grungy and dark and loud, and we were
Mhm.
angry, and then it all kind of we all shifted towards looking to European artists and much more graphic design mixed with illustration, and it was beautiful line and clean and that wasn't me as much, but I loved it. So then my work kind of went down, you know, a bit. Like the New Yorker stopped calling because I was like, they're like, oh, your paintings are too messy. They don't print well, and all the, you know, and then they went on to more comics.
Sorry for laughing, but
no, it's true.
Right.
Because I was still painting, and I was I was later, like, I mean, I do a lot of digital work, but it's still, and even Esther will tell me, like, stop grunging it up so much. Stop making, like, you know, it's cool, but it's like get a little bit brighter, you know, and yeah, you know, it's like, so you're always trying to adapt and adjust. And I mean, I used to use much more darker, moodier colors, and now I love like pink and crazy, you know, humor and silliness. And
sure.
we all evolve and change. I mean, there's always humor in my work, but it's become more casual and less, I don't take myself so serious.
All right, Mark. Well, thank you so much for taking the
Yeah,
time. I know that all the
sure.
people watching who've been sticking it out for our marathon here enjoy it, and I certainly do. So thank you again.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. It was fun. All right.
We'll talk to you soon, all right? All right, take care of yourself. Say hi to the family.
Yay, bye. All right, will do. Bye.
You can tell how I feel about Mark Todd. Like, that was fun.